Hello everyone. I've made some improvements to my little mini fire kit, and I want to have an updated version to reference in the future. So what I'm going to do is take a few moments to show you the improvements that I've made, and I think you'll agree there was some pretty good ones made. So anyway, let me reposition the camera and we'll take this apart and I'll show you piece by piece what's in it and what I did to improve it. Alright, to start out, the container that the kit is in is a little tin provided by the company I bought the striker from for flint and steel, a company called Essie. They make knives, but they also make the striker, and they put it in this nice little tin that I keep closed with this rubber band or Ranger band that came with some magazines that I bought for my rifle. Does a good job of keeping it closed. This tin could also serve as a tin to char cloth or punk wood in. But unless I need it for an emergency, I'm going to keep it in this nice shape. Let's open it up. You've seen this before, but there are some changes. One thing that I did is I took this piece of leather off the striker, off the steel. I was using it to insulate my hand because the steel also serves as a bearing block for bow and drill. The divot gets real hot, that point gets real hot. So I put this piece of leather on the steel attached with a lanyard. But you could use leaves, bark. I always carried gloves with me, so this was unnecessary. It was just taking up room. So I canned that. Another thing I did, I changed out commercial fire starters for some that I made myself. This particular brand, I've covered the name because I don't want to say anything bad about the brand. It's a great brand. It's a wonderful product. I highly recommend it. The thing I didn't like personally was it had some type of accelerant in this proprietary blend that they make that somehow leaked out of the plastic package into my kit, and I didn't really like that. And I should have realized there would be a problem when I see it's shipped in a foil packet. These are the fire starters that I make. They're very similar. In fact, they're the exact size and shape. I'm sure they use the same thing. Nosebleed plugs, you could find them on Amazon. I think dentists also use this to pack your mouth when they're doing procedures, but it's 100% cotton. And what I do is I melt Vaseline, petroleum jelly, heat it up a little bit, and I drop these into the jelly, and they absorb as much as they can. I take them out and I lay them on an absorbent material. I want to draw out some of the material. I don't want it to be completely saturated. But petroleum jelly will not leak out of plastic. I know so because this is a 15-year-old plastic container that I made up years ago, and the cotton is still in great shape. They still light perfectly. I did a video on it. I'll link that in the description. 15-year-old product here. You can't beat that. I was able to add more jute when I removed the leather. I had more room, so I now have 2 feet of jute twine, which is probably one of the best tenders you'd ever want. And if you have tinder you're using out on the trail, that's a little bit damp, you could unravel this, add it to the middle of the nest, and let this dry up and ignite the somewhat damp tinder bundle. That's what I carry this for. And you could use it as a, as a tinder, standalone tinder. You have a small piece of flint. Now, I still have a lanyard of sorts on the steel, mainly because if you drop this in leaves, you're not going to see it, especially if it's at night. So this is a international orange paracord, and it's also got some highly reflective material woven into it. So if you can't see this during the day, certainly at night you'll be able to shine a light. These reflect brilliantly. So I don't think you could lose this unless it somehow gets under some leaves. So anyway, that's the improvement I made to this, removing the leather and adding a reflective lanyard. Did the same thing with my little ferrocerium rod and ceramic striker. I had them on just an international orange paracord. I replaced it with the reflective material, and I have just enough cordage to allow me to make a spark. Now, I've replaced, if you watched my video, the last video, I made some dang good char cloth. This is the new char cloth, by the way. The old char cloth I'm going to use to ignite a tinder bundle. It's been in here, I guess, a half a year, and I'm sure it's going to work, but I just want to see what the shelf life is going to be. If kept dry, probably indefinite. Anyway, that's a new package of char cloth, and I just take a little Ziploc bag, and I cut the top off. You don't really need that Ziploc on there. I fold it over once. It fits nicely into the, I believe this is a 3x5, I'm not sure. Fits nicely in the bottom and keeps the char cloth protected. In the bottom of the box, I have my Fresnel lens, which is a magnifying lens, which will work just as a magnifying glass to concentrate the beams of the sun to a point where you could ignite char cloth, certainly, and a lot of tinders directly. Made a little protective sleeve for it because I don't want it to get scarred up in the bottom of the box. Now, in the top of the lid, I have a piece of Gorilla Tape. Underneath is a little strip of cotton. I've made a video where I've ignited the Gorilla Tape using a Bic, which is empty. You're not going to be able to do it unless you have some cotton to ignite, which in turn ignites the tape, and this acts as a great tinder as well. All right, let's see where we're at. I did want to demonstrate my fire plug. It doesn't have any type of blend, it's just pure petroleum jelly, but it ignites just as easily using a spark from an empty Bic and certainly a ferro rod, or a lighter that's full. But again, we're not going to try to light a fire. I just want to demonstrate it can be ignited with an empty Bic lighter. But you need to bring out some fine fibers there in order to do it. We got wind today, so I don't know how that's going to affect this. Of course, you got to learn to do all this in adverse conditions. Let me get it right. anything you do on camera is going to be a lot harder for some reason. It's just the way nature is. I'm going to bring out those fibers a little bit better. And I'm going to raise this up a bit and make it a little easier to do. There we go. If I could keep it ignited. Like I say, this is why you practice. So you could overcome adversity. There we go. And I'm going to leave that just like it is so that y'all can see that nothing's ever perfect. You always got to work with it. Anyway, you would lay that on a piece of bark, a couple of twigs, and it's going to burn. I've burned these for 4 minutes, and it'll begin to make a very strong flame in a minute. Now, to be fair, the company that makes these plugs, it would have lit a lot quicker, a lot easier, because of that blend of materials that they add to their plug. Okay. Let's just try that, since we're in an experimental mood here. I will say it's a lot easier to get this this plug ready for fire. Well, let's hold it up. Uh-oh. They sure wouldn't want me to make a commercial for them, would they? I didn't stage this. This is just happening. There we go. Well, I'm not going to go any further with this. I'm happy with my plugs that I make with petroleum jelly. Pure and simple. Let's set this aside. Okay. Now let's see. These are the new char cloth. This is the old char cloth. I'm gonna go ahead and ignite this with flint and steel, and we're gonna make a tinder bundle flame up. Just stand by and let me get the camera set up for that. All right. Put that in my back pocket for a minute till we can get the char cloth out of this plastic. I don't know how many pieces I got in there. I got several. I don't think it's bad char cloth. Anyway, I had to bend down, put that down. And as always, you tear your char cloth in order to produce some, I call them frizzies. They're fibers. Fibers of the denim. And you find a sharp edge to your flint material. lay it about 1/16 of an inch off the edge. Now this is 6 months old char cloth that's been in my mini kit, but evidently 6 months didn't harm it, as it lit pretty well. This is my favorite thing in fire making, is igniting a tinder bundle. Got a lot of wind today. The wind passing through the tinder bundle may be enough to ignite it. Y'all gonna get a lot of the smoke, I'm afraid. I apologize. Just as I suspected, I didn't need to blow it. So there you go. That's the update on my little mini fire kit. If you haven't subscribed already to my channel, I'm going to ask that you do, please. I want to thank you for your support in the past, and watch all my videos. And until the next time, I want to say thank you, and I'll talk to you later.